Huge protests erupted in the conflicted Indian state of Manipur on Friday after a viral video showed two women from the Christian Kuki tribe being paraded naked and SA'd by a howling mob of men. I'm going to let you know that I'm not posting the video. I'm not posting any stills from the video. I've not seen the video. I have seen a couple of pictures from it, but I don't want to watch it. It's clearly very gross, horrific, and I don't feel the need to expose myself or anyone else to that. But it has gone viral. If you want to track it down, you'll be able to do so, I have no doubt. So we're told that there's a lot of tension in the area. Again, it's the Indian state of Manipur. People are angry, rightfully so. So the article that I went through, which is a Daily Mail article, gives us quite a bit of backstory in regards to the local politics. There are different tribes in the area. Some have been treated better than others, politically speaking, financially speaking. So there's a history of a backstory of tension between the various tribes within the Manipur area. So it seems that the women that were attacked and videoed, one of which was gang Ard, were targeted because they were a part of a specific Christian tribe, the Kuki tribe. We're told that the incident occurred May the 4th in the Thubal district, but because the area does not have internet access, the video has only recently gone viral, has only recently been exposed to the wider public of India and now the world. It's a short video clip. It's less than 30 seconds long, and in the video it shows two naked Kuki women, so from the Christian Kuki tribe. One of the women is in her 20s, the other is in her 40s. They're both dragged towards an open field by a large mob of men, and it is a large mob of men, hundreds of men. They were screaming insults at the two women. Some of the men were groping the victims as they were being pulled along, so SA. So I've seen one picture of, the groping. I mean, they're naked women being pushed and pulled by a huge mob of scumbags, and they're being SA'd, groped, whilst they're naked, whilst they're terrified. It's sickening, and that's why I don't want to watch it. The video, allegedly, apparently, shows a group of men R-ing the younger woman. So sadly, she was the victim of gang R. A third woman in her 50s was also assaulted. Thankfully, the three women survived. However, other people from the same tribe were murdered by the mob. So we're told that the 20-year-old woman's father and brother both were killed by the mob. Apparently, there was close to 1,000 men. Some of them, or many of them, had rifles. The mob looted and burned the village where the victims lived, and this occurred whilst those in the village were protected by police. So police were there. Police were knowledgeable about the tensions, but they were unable, and I'm going to stick with unable. I'm not going to say unwilling. I'm not even going to suggest unwilling. I don't know the full details. I've got to presume that they were unable to protect the women and the men. They were unable to protect the people of the village. I don't know how many police were there. We're not told, but I would imagine that they would have been heavily outnumbered. If the mob is close to 1,000 men, many of whom have rifles, what could the police reasonably be expected to do? Very little. If the police engage, their lives will be taken from them, no doubt. I saw a video the other day, yesterday I think, in Brazil. Police, just a couple of police, were in a Brazilian favela, let's say, and there were dozens, if not hundreds, of gang members that evacuated the area right in front of the police, pointing their machine guns at the police, and the police were helpless. The police were essentially begging for their lives, praying that none of the dozens, if not hundreds or more gang members that were pointing guns at them didn't fire. So, police are humans too. They're not superheroes. They've got to be protective of their own lives. They have their own families. I don't know the full details, of course, but I personally wouldn't jump to the conclusion that the police were at fault. If they were heavily outnumbered, then perhaps the only feasible option was to stand back and not intervene. It's tragic, but in my mind, the police would have been helpless. So the mob killed both the father and the brother of the SA victim that was in their 20s. The son tried to protect the women, but he was murdered by the mob. Again, thankfully, the three women survived. One of the women severely SA'd, but they did survive, and they made their way to a relief camp. And again, this happened in May of this year, 2023, but the world is getting to know this 2.5 months later because the 30-second video has only just made its way to the internet due to the region Manipur not having access to the internet generally. So there hadn't been any arrests arrest. The Indian police, the police of the Indian state of Manipur, failed to have made a single arrest until the video did go viral. So there was a huge backlash as soon as the video did go viral from members of the community from all across India and now the world, outraged by this horrific situation, the parading of women, stripping them naked, essaying them, and then subjecting one of them to a horrific attack, murdering men in the village, those that tried to protect the women, and the police neutered, the police incapacitated, perhaps by fear. So it is a shame, it is disgusting that it took the video to go viral before the police chiefs took action. They have arrested what they claim to be is the ringleader of the mob, the mastermind behind the violence, the mastermind behind the SA of the women and the murder of the men. I would think that those arrests could have happened earlier, but they didn't. So what does that suggest? That suggests a lack of will to enforce the law, to enforce really any kind of moral protection of the community. A real failure. The Prime Minister of India, Modi, has made a public statement declaring his disgust, acknowledging the anger that the whole of India is experiencing. The Prime Minister Modi has stated that the law will take action, that those involved will not be forgiven. So I agree with the Prime Minister's words. I hope that they do take action, and I hope moving forward changes can be made. I'm going to say this, and perhaps I'm not allowed to say this, so we'll find out. Hopefully cultural changes are made. Look, I live in the West. I'm not a particularly politically correct person myself. I'm not a politically correct person. I suffer a great deal of wrongthink. And here we are in the West being badgered by, I'm going to say, those on the left or those that are politically correct. We're badgered to change our thoughts, to change our practices, to change our culture. We're badgered. Men are toxic. We display toxic masculinity left, right and center. We can't help it, apparently. So we're told that we must change our culture in the West. Here I am thinking I was quite a nice guy, but apparently not. We're all toxic, us men. We're told that we need to change our culture. So is it that bad to suggest that those in India also need to change their behavior? Is that such a bad thing to say? I'm thinking perhaps it isn't. I'm thinking if you're able to manifest a mob of 1,000 men that go around raping and murdering, then maybe there's something wrong with your culture. Maybe that culture should change in some capacity. Is that racist of me? I don't think so. I think it would be hypocritical for those that are politically correct that go around attacking Western culture to consider what I've just said to be racist. But in any case, I've said enough, and I've just realized that my microphone is misplaced, so maybe the audio is not very good. So I'm going to wrap things up at this point. If you have listened to this point, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Take care.